kind of filled it up with comments. And these are my journals from trips that I've taken. This is from Italy. And, oh, I always like this open with some fascinating. Oh, here's a good page. This kind of collage of things that you pick up in Italy. And it seemed kind of disjointed to me. And I said, oh, how am I going to gather this all together? And then I remembered what I had in the morning, coffee. Oh. So I painted coffee all over this. And this became something I used quite often. And I like the color of the coffee. And when I went to Guatemala this last summer, I also used a lot of coffee. And if you want to see some things that I did in Guatemala, you have to go over to Coffee by Design. And I have a show over there, too. Now, this is a book that they made in Chiapas, Mexico, where I do paper-making workshops often. And so they made the book. I did not make the book, but I discovered it. Discovering it is part of the fun, isn't it? To discover something. And it was actually a book of Mayan magic. Like what to do with your husband if he's flirting with the neighborhood women. There's something written down from the Mayans about that. But they had a few blank books. So I got 2 or 3 of the blank books. And somebody said, oh, you're not going to take that book to India, are you? And I said, yes. And so it looks a little used. There's a little coffee stain here, and so on. But I'd much rather have it that way than some pristine kind of book that nobody dares touch, and so on. I guess that maybe I'll tell you one story. I do a lot of work in the schools around Maine and New Hampshire. And so when I go around to schools, I often bring the journals along because I think they might use it for an inspiration to do some other things like journals. Here's a page. Well, I'll start by saying when I was in Rajasthan, I hired a camel and a driver, and we went out into the desert. Have any of you ever been to India or done anything like that? Well, you can hire a camel and a guide and a driver, and we headed out into the desert where we stayed overnight. And the guy does the cooking, all that. But I woke up in the morning and there's all this sand around, you know, and I was thinking, now, what can I do with all this sand around? And I remembered I was an artist. And artists do have glue. And so I took the glue and spread it out on the page and heaped the sand on it. And so there's some sand from the desert in Rajasthan. It's very fine kind of sand, sure.
What kind of glue?
It was regular old white glue.
Like Elmer's?
Like Elmer's, yes. I'm not sure at that point whether I discovered Yes Glue, but you should use Yes Glue if you work with papers, because it won't wrinkle the papers and so on. Okay, so, and there are a lot of other stories in here, and some of you may know, I'm sure you do, Rousseau, and he has a painting of somebody out in the desert, right? And that's why this is in here, because when I show this around, I kind of make sure I show this here.
Oh, yes.
But, so this is me out in the desert, minus the lion. All right, so, well, I think you can look around at things now all you want, and do you have any questions? Oh, I've covered it pretty well, haven't I?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Did you do the drawing of it?
Yes, I did the drawing, right. I've never really done large drawings like that, except for that piece. But you can find the drawing in one of the books they're in, because that was the scene of the jungle outside my, where I stayed in Palenque. And then I added the windows, and I have had the windows black, with something black in back of it. And but when I got down here and saw it in the light and so on, I felt that, oh, you know, it's nice just with the white there.
And I like the shadows, the way the shadow.
The shadows are great. Here's a great shadow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right down
That
under
is
here.
very exciting.
Yeah. You can see it on the lace too.
And
the
the
lace.
Oh, yes, over here.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that. Oh, we could probably find more.
Yeah. I had a remarkable experience with this piece the other day. I got up fairly close.
Why don't
to
you
it.
tell it to everybody? Here's a remarkable experience from this.
Well, okay, I was here the other day and I was standing quite close. I would say, yeah, right there. And I didn't realize that there was so much air in the room. I love when you talked about the stuff moving, the paper moving. And I was looking in there, and I wasn't sure whether the paper was really moving or not. And all of a sudden, it felt like all the fluids in my body started. I became aware of them moving as the paper was moving, and I couldn't help but think of Aldous Huxley, and about perception, and how
right.
interesting it is, and how quickly it can be altered, and how we orient ourselves or not.
Right.
Anyway, it was really powerful.
Gee, I love the association, because in the article there they mentioned Albert Einstein.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, in Afghanistan, I teach math. I'm a math teacher, and I have been for years. And so it's not so strange. You got to think about it, though. I was a philosophy major in college, and then I have a master's in philosophy. And so there's a lot of logic that I'm into. So math was a natural, and it's in demand a lot. So you can always move around.
Yeah.
You can't get a job hardly teaching art overseas, and I wanted to move overseas. So math was a great subject to be
That's great.
teaching, and so on. So I have a few different talents besides just art. Any other questions?
I have a comment.
A comment?
A comment for you. You're one of the few artists that we've ever shown in the gallery that allows people to touch the pieces, and that's something
Right.
very, very unusual, and particularly with something
Yeah.
as fragile as paper.
But it isn't fragile. It's very strong.
But in terms of the longevity of the piece, do you worry about that?
Nothing lasts forever. You know, even the Parthenon is deteriorating, right? Nothing lasts forever, and you know, I don't worry about that at all. I am more concerned that people have a great experience. That's what art's all about, isn't it? Creating an experience for people, and so I much that's how I feel about those things. Although this will last a while. I mean, look at that piece over there is 35, 40 years old. It stood up very well. And so on. It's not paper, but the paper in these are kind of old and so on. And it actually makes it almost like an antique.